welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, welcome. I'm not actually sure I'll use this footage because I am in the middle of straightening my hair. But I did want to talk about craft books, improving your writing. So this has been on my mind lately, and it was just, I was sitting here thinking about my craft book to read list, and I thought might as well make a video. Let me pull up my list. My to read craft books. I have been thinking about this lately, and the one that I have read and absolutely loved, well, obviously I've read more than one, but my favorite one that I've read was Save the Cat Writes a Novel. This was kind of a game changer for me because I am definitely more of a pantser. So I tend to kind of fly by the seat of my pants while I'm writing. I don't go in with every little detail planned, but I do really care about story structure. So what I have been doing when I write is I start with the beat sheet from Save the Cat. I write in Scrivener, so I start with you know how those of you who use Scrivener will know that your binder is on the left, and then you have your document, and then on the right hand side you have the inspector. So in the binder, I start with the Save the Cat beat sheet kind of printed out or typed out, and I will I don't do a ton of plotting before I get started, but I will know like what my main character's character arc is and kind of the short pitch of the book. So I could tell you the gist of what happens in a book, but I couldn't tell you how it happens. But as I go through kind of my first draft, what I do is I will write according to that beat sheet. So I know that like in this scene, the protagonist needs to hear the theme stated. Or I know that in this scene, the midpoint needs to happen and either a false victory or a false defeat or whatever it is. So I really, really enjoy that, but I do think that I want to expand, and because I do think every story to some degree falls under Save the Cat. I think it's really kind of a fairly universal structure because it looks mostly at character arcs. But I do want to look at other structures, and I want to read other books. I know kind of the old school was 3-act structure, so I want to read the book about that. And then I have a list written somewhere. Let me pull it up. I'm familiar with 3-act structure to a degree, but I would like to get more familiar with it. And then I'm familiar with, I forgot to do heat protectant. That's important. I actually don't use heat on my hair very often. My hair does not love heat. It gets damaged pretty easily, but I'm not loving my short hair. I miss my long hair, and we'll see if straightening makes it better. What was I saying? I'm familiar with 3-act structure. I would like to be more familiar. I found a book about it, so I might read that. And then Hero's Journey was all the rage, at the very least with educators when I was going through school, so I got a very heaping helping of Hero's Journey, but I would not mind reading the book. I opened the wrong document. I would not mind reading the Joseph Campbell book, Hero with 1,000 Faces. Because I know that I kind of read bits and pieces when I was younger, and it was interesting, but I never, like, completely read the book front to cover, or cover to cover. And it seems like the kind of thing that I would really enjoy, and I think it will help me improve my writing. And then I do want to reread Save the Cat, because when I read it, it wasn't even that long ago, but it feels like a million years in writing experience, which I'm still kind of a beginner even though I'm publishing. So, because I've been writing since I was 12 years old, but I've only been writing in the way that people who intend to publish write since about 2019, end of 2019. I always thought to myself, I'm going to publish someday, but then I never wrote, so there was nothing to publish. Yeah, but I do think rereading Save the Cat now with my current experience level would be a different experience than when I first read it, and I might understand some things on a deeper level, hopefully. Hi, kitty. Because I have completed 2 or 3, 2.5 books. It sounds weird to say, but I considered one book done even though I hadn't written the ending, because I knew where I went wrong and that the ending wasn't going to work. So, yeah. When I first read it, I had completed, I think, 1 draft of 1 book, and I completely rewrote that book since then. And that's Project King. That's the one I'm working on in the background of Project Gold. So, yeah. So, Project Save the Cat, and then I want to read, even though, like, the Snowflake method does not appeal to me all that much, I do want to read Randy Ingermansion, I think his name is, wrote a book about it, and I'd like to read that. I think it'd be, even if I don't use the method, I think it'd be interesting and kind of worth looking at. And I will put a list of books that is like my writing craft TBR in the description of the video. But I also really want to read Reflections on the Magic of Writing by Diana Wynne Jones, which, if you haven't heard of her, she's like an absolute pillar of fantasy. Her books are a little older, but like Howl's Moving Castle, I think Archer's Goon, maybe. But she had an incredibly unique voice in her writing, and it was just good. Like, I haven't even read all of it, but I have no problem saying that she was an amazing author. So I want to read that book. It's got, like, essays in it, and, yeah, it just sounds like absolutely worth reading. And then I also want to read Steering the Craft by Ursula K. Le Guin. And for So most people, I think, don't realize how much goes into being a professional writer. Like right now, I'm in the process of publishing a book, Showing Silver, available May 8th. I'm absolutely loving that it's coming out. But along with that, I'm still working on the sequel and working on Project King. Project King was actually my first story idea that I ever had, and it is unrecognizable because little 12-year-old me was very silly, and that was not a good book. But three of the characters have stuck around, and I love them. And it's a special book to me. Not that every book's not special, but that one is like, I'm looking forward to putting that one out. Yeah, so what I was saying about people don't realize how much goes into being a professional writer, because you have all the things with publishing, especially if you're indie. You have to do all your own marketing, figure out cover design, formatting, all that jazz, connect with bookshops, what have you. And then in the background of that, you also have to keep writing. And then if you're serious about it and you care about the craft, you have to read books in your genre to keep up on trends and whatnot, and outside of your genre to keep yourself from getting stale. And then you also should be reading craft books and like trying to develop and become more skilled. Because writing, yes, the stories you tell are stories that matter to you, that come from your heart, but the skill of telling them it's a skill like any other. Like if you were going to become a coder and make amazing apps and things, you'd practice, you'd learn the new things in coding. You have to learn the new things in writing. You have to learn some of the old things you missed too. So maybe coding's not the best example, but if you were any other skill, same thing. So yeah, I am going to make a concerted effort for the rest of this year to kind of I'm going to think of it as through the three pillars. The books that are out or coming out, the books that you're currently working on, and then keeping up with the craft. Professional development, the same way teachers and nurses and anybody else would do. And for those of you who are fellow writers, I hope you will join me for some of these. When I pick up one of these books, I will at least share it on Instagram. No kitty. I will at least share it on Instagram so that if you want to join in, you can. This is Sammy. She's a good girl. I know. Okay. Sammy doesn't like the weather. So, yeah. Thank you for joining me today. And I hope you'll join me in, if not these specific books, then keep improving the craft of writing. Keep, we've got this, guys. And, if you have suggestions for other writing craft books, plop them in the comments. I would love to read some of them. I'm sure others who wander through might love to read some of them. If you've written a book about the craft, absolutely. Pop it below. So thanks for joining, and I'll see you next week for my writing vlog.